She did not ask for it. She did not campaign for it. She did not schedule a meeting to make her case. She did not send a carefully worded email about her contributions, or her market value, or what she deserved. She just kept doing what she had always done. And one afternoon, without announcement, her manager pulled her aside and offered her something he had never offered anyone else on the team. Not a promotion, not a raise, something quieter than both of those. He asked her what she needed to stay. That question, from that person, was not small. That was a manager who had done the math and did not like the answer. My name is Alex, and this channel exists to tell you the things your job never will. Most people believe respect at work is something you earn through performance, through hitting targets, through positive reviews, through being liked and being visible, and making the right people feel good about having hired you. That kind of respect exists, but it is fragile. It depends on your last result. It resets every quarter. It disappears the moment someone newer or louder or more politically connected arrives and performs better. There is a different kind of respect, the kind that does not reset, the kind that does not depend on your last result, the kind that makes a manager pull you aside on a Tuesday afternoon and ask what you need to stay before you have given any indication that you are thinking about leaving. That kind of respect is not earned through performance. It is earned through irreplaceability, and irreplaceability works completely differently from everything you were told to chase. Here is what most employees do not understand about how organizations actually think. Organizations do not think about people, they think about gaps. When a manager looks at their team, they are not thinking about who is performing well. They are thinking about what breaks if a specific person leaves. Some people leave and the team absorbs it. There is a transition period. Someone else covers the work. Things slow down briefly, then they continue. Other people leave and something fundamental breaks. A client relationship that nobody else owns. A process so undocumented that finding it again takes months. Institutional knowledge that exists nowhere except inside one person's head. A way of handling a specific problem that nobody else on the team knows how to replicate. When a manager realizes that a specific person leaving would create that second kind of break, something shifts. The relationship changes, not because the manager became a better person, because the math changed. The first thing irreplaceability creates is a different kind of attention. Most employees are watched for problems. Managers notice them when something goes wrong, when a deadline is missed, when a client complains, when a result falls short. The irreplaceable employee is watched differently. They are watched for signals. Is she happy? Is she engaged? Has she been quiet recently, quieter than usual? Did she seem distracted in that last meeting? Has she been taking more calls outside the office? These are not performance questions. These are retention questions. And the moment a manager is asking retention questions about you, the power in that relationship has quietly shifted. You did not ask for that shift. You did not negotiate for it. You did not threaten to leave. You simply became someone whose absence the organization could not easily absorb. The second thing irreplaceability creates is protection. Not the formal kind, not HR policies or contractual protections, the informal kind that matters more. When budgets get cut, certain names never appear on the list. When restructuring happens, certain roles get redesigned around the person, rather than the person being redesigned around the role. When a new manager arrives and starts making changes, certain people get consulted first, not because they are the most senior, not because they are the loudest, because removing them would cost more than keeping them. That protection is real. It operates quietly, and it extends far beyond what any performance rating has ever protected anyone from. The third thing irreplaceability creates, and this is the one that changes everything, is leverage. Not aggressive leverage. Not the kind you announce. Not the kind that requires a confrontation. Quiet leverage. The leverage of someone who knows they have options, and whose manager knows it too. And neither of them needs to say it out loud for it to be completely understood. That leverage changes conversations. When the irreplaceable employee raises a concern, it gets addressed. When they ask for something, it gets considered seriously. When they push back on a decision, the decision gets reconsidered. Not always. Not perfectly. But differently than it would be for someone the organization could easily replace. This is why the manager who pulled her aside on that Tuesday afternoon asked what she needed to stay. He was not being generous. He was being rational. The cost of losing her was higher than the cost of keeping her happy, and she had never threatened anything. She had never made a single demand. She had simply become someone whose departure the organization could not afford to treat as routine. So, how does this actually happen? Not through indispensability traps, not by hoarding knowledge or refusing to document processes or making yourself impossible to replace through dysfunction. That version of irreplaceability is a cage. It keeps you exactly where you are. It gives you leverage but removes your options, and leverage without options is not power. It is just a more comfortable trap. Real irreplaceability is built differently. It is built through the accumulation of things that cannot be easily transferred, relationships that follow you, not the role, judgment that comes from years of specific experience, institutional knowledge that you understand at a level the documentation never captures, a way of reading situations that produces outcomes others cannot replicate even when given the same information. These things take time. They cannot be faked. They cannot be performed in a meeting. They accumulate quietly in the same way trust accumulates, through consistency, through reliability, through being the person who understands the real version of things, rather than the official version. She never asked her manager for the conversation he initiated. She did not know it was coming. She had been doing her work, the same way she had always done it, quietly, thoroughly, without announcement. What she had built over 3 years was not a performance. It was a record of judgment, of reliability, of being the person the organization called when the official process was not going to be enough. Her manager did not respect her because she was likable. He respected her because he had done the math, and the math was clear. She was not someone the organization could afford to take for granted. And the moment an organization cannot afford to take you for granted, everything changes. Not loudly, not with an announcement, just quietly, the way real things change. My name is Alex. This is exactly what we do here. Subscribe to Alex versus the system. The next one is already built.